If you've ever wanted to build props or cosplay gear, but you had no idea where to start, this is for you. I've put together a great starter tool set of the exact items I'd get if I were starting out from scratch. No fluff, no overpriced gear, just the essentials that'll actually help you build. And the best part about all of this stuff here, you can have it for just about $200. So let's dive into each item individually. There are some items that are not on the table that I would recommend, but we'll get into those individually. First up on the list are some hobby knives. These are invaluable items when it comes to fine detail work, cutting, trimming. You can use these for some type of deburring. Any fitting that you're going to be doing, foam cosplay work, they're going to be a necessity. This is a cheap set from Harbor Freight. You can find equally cheap sets on Amazon. You don't need to spend a lot of money on this. This is something that comes with an assortment of blades. One thing that I've found does work really well are these Olfa brand snap knives. I find these Olfa snap blade knives to be really, really nice. They're sharp, like sticky sharp, and name brand, so they stay sharp really long. When they do get dull or you chip a blade, just a standard snap knife, you snap it off and you keep going. But if you're gonna buy something and spend some money, this Olfa branded snap knife is really nice. Next item on the list are calipers. I have multiple pairs of calipers. I use these all the time for fine measurement, whether you got a pile, whether or not you have a pile of drill bits that you need to measure. Calipers are great. Digital calipers are kind of ubiquitous nowadays, but you can't go wrong with a pair of standard analog dial calipers. These will never run out of batteries. The digital ones seem to always run out of batteries when you don't have any more. What I like about the digital ones, very easy to read. You can basically pull them out, use them. Another great feature that I like about the digital versus the analog is the ability to switch between units with the touch of a button. That is so helpful, especially when you're downloading files or making things, and it's easier to sometimes measure stuff in millimeters if you're used to inches because you need nice round numbers. The ability to switch between inches and millimeters is great. So get yourself, these are like $30, $35 from Shars. If you've not checked out Shars' website, not sponsored, but they make great stuff, pretty reasonably priced. So yes, I would recommend getting at least one pair of calipers. You can get them as low as like $10 on Amazon, but honestly, spend a couple more dollars, get a decent pair, because the cheap ones, sometimes, you're gonna have issues with the encoder, and once you can't trust your calipers anymore, they're basically useless. So spend a couple dollars and get a good set. This one I can't show on the bench, but CAD software. If you're doing any type of making or designing your own stuff, you're gonna want some CAD software. I have access to SolidWorks with my job, so I use that primarily. Fusion 360 is free for a lot of people, so you can see if you qualify for the free license for Fusion 360. As a SolidWorks user, I find it a little more difficult. There's online CAD systems that are also free. But get used to and start learning CAD. My best advice for anybody who wants to start learning CAD is take something simple and a pair of calipers and start measuring it and going from there. Take something simple like a screwdriver and just take your caliper, start taking measurements, and start modeling it. That's the best way for anybody to learn a CAD software. So I work with CAD, so I think it's invaluable. You can literally do anything with CAD, so that's one of my essential items, and it's free. Okay, next up, we're talking about adhesives. So I like the JB plastic bonder. That is really good. If you're working with ABS or any type of thermoplastics, you can get some solvent weld material. This one is Pro Weld. It's an older bottle, but you can still get it. These are just two generic brand super glues, cyanoacrylate. Also very good, thin and thick. And in this case it's medium, but a thin and a medium. And this plastic bond or epoxy is incredible when it comes to bonding plastics together. It's great for rapid prototyping, any of that stuff. You're going to need glue. If you're doing any type of making, you're going to need and you're going to want some glue. As far as the cost goes, these are about $15 on Amazon. Super glues at any hobby store, probably $3 to $5 each. This is probably a little bit more expensive, but still under $10. So yeah, you're definitely going to want some glue. All right, next up on the list is a rotary tool. You may have heard this as like a Dremel tool. That's a name brand. This one is a generic one. It's got adjustable speed, which is very handy for work with foams or plastic where you don't want it to be at 100%, so you can go slow. Sanding. I've got a cutoff wheel here right now because the last thing I was doing involved cutting some hardened shafts, and you can't do that any other way than by grinding. So that's what you'll need that for. It's great. Get any one that you want, any brand, any amount that you can find that will fit your budget. You can get name brand Dremel. You can go all the way to a generic one with no name. It's going to cost you about $40, and that's something that gets used all the time. Next up, sandpaper and sanding files. Sandpaper, you'll use it all the time. I use it all the time. The trick to sandpaper is always make sure that it is fresh, not loaded up. In this case, I've recommended a lot of things that are not name brand, but do yourself a favor, save your money, don't buy cheap sandpaper. Get name brand stuff. Norton, that's a name brand. In this case, this is from Lowe's, the Gator brand. I spent some money on some off the Amazon cheap Chinese sandpaper, and when I was sanding my plastic parts, it was the cheap sandpaper would last 20% of the time as this stuff. I could go like several minutes with this. The cheap sandpaper was not even 20 seconds, and it was all the rocks were knocked off. So do yourself a favor, spend some money on some decent sandpaper, and you'll thank yourself with your own time. This item that's also very important is a heat gun. This is used for all sorts of things, such as bending foam, setting paint, speeding up cure processes, helps with smoothing certain 3D prints. You can, heat up your stuff, bend it, smooth some stuff. A simple tool that unlocks a surprising number of uses. If you're doing any electronics, use the heat gun to shrink your heat shrink tubing instead of a match or a lighter. If you're opening different items to salvage parts out of it, you can use the heat gun to soften the glues. You'll use it a surprising amount of time. You can have this for as little as $11. I would just get the cheapest one. If it burns up, just go buy another one. Alright, this takes us to probably one of our most important items on the list is safety gear. Let it be known that you should never skimp on safety gear. When it comes to your health, you only get one chance at it. So, good set of safety glasses. You can get these pretty inexpensive. That's not going to be a killer. But resist the urge to buy cheap, no-name respirators. If you're doing anything that requires a respirator, you're going to want to make sure that it's actually stopping the particulate from getting in your mouth and your nose and your lungs. The P100 mask's good for just general particulate. If you're doing anything with VOCs, you're going to want to get the more expensive VOC cartridges, but do it and don't think twice about it, because like those posters say in like your science labs, you only get one set of eyes. So you'd hate to ruin that set of eyes because you didn't want to spend $3 on a pair of safety glasses. So just do it. Alright, this next item are clamps. You're going to want a lot of different sizes, functions. In this case, these are just some squeeze. These are really handy for gluing parts together. These are not going to hold super strong. I mean, you can see, you can put your finger in here and like it doesn't really like you know, there's not a lot of pain involved in that. This is a smaller one, but still, like, they don't hold very good. They don't keep square, but they're great for holding things in place while you're setting some glue. These are a little bit more robust. I like these because they have a wide jaw. Also, this whole flat area right here is all at the same level, which makes holding deeper parts easier. Get yourself some clamps. This one's maybe a little bit more of a surprise. I know until I got one, I didn't think that they were very useful, but a Lazy Susan. It's great for being able to position parts, especially if you've got something bigger and you want to move it around. In this case, like, it's good for painting items. You can just put it on here, paint, spin it around. So instead of you having to walk around your part, all you have to do is just spin it around, do your painting, change the orientation, spin it around, you can get all the sides of it. They're really handy. This was kind of a surprise for me how useful it was for me when I got it. If you've got bigger assemblies, you can put them on top of here and spin it around to work on it at your desk. You'll find, if you buy one of these, you will find that you use it a lot, especially if you're doing painting. It's very handy for painting. All right, and that's kind of it. Sure, you could go into depth on a lot more of these, but as a quick little video of all the things that I think are essential, I'm going to have all the links and in the description for all the stuff I've used. They're not affiliate links. I don't have any of that stuff set up. Feel free to use your own. This is just some stuff I found that was within the budget. But for $200, you can have yourself a pretty good setup that will get you through a lot of your prop or cosplay building. It's not going to be everything. You still are going to need hand tools, drills, screwdrivers, pliers, drill bits, that kind of stuff. But, you know, as far as the more niche items of what you're going to need to be, like, doing cosplay work or props or any sort of hobbyist maker type work, I believe that this stuff is the great start. Especially under $200, you can put away a couple dollars every paycheck and buy this stuff over the course of, you know, several months and have everything. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think is an essential tool or something that surprised you, like this Lazy Susan surprised me? So leave it down in the comment. If you like this kind of stuff, go ahead and hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.